ITT Hartford's Breakaway is brought to you by ITT Hartford. By Quickie, the real chair people. And by US Air. US Air begins with you. There are a few words in the English language which carry a greater connotation of fear than paralysis, especially quadriplegia. Remember a couple of years ago when Detroit lineman Mike Utley lay motionless on the playing field and thousands of people in the stands stood with their hearts in their throats? Well, to many people, quadriplegics seem like frail people. They seem like helpless people, people maybe even bedridden in constant need of assistance. Follow me. I want to introduce you to some quadriplegics. Welcome to the 4th annual top-end Holiday Invitational Quad Rugby Tournament. 16 teams from all over the world in the finest competition of this sport going. So you ask yourself, what is quad rugby? Well, it's sort of like NASCAR meets volleyball. A game not for the shy, but also a game of real finesse. The action is fast-paced, but it's punctuated by bone-jarring crashes. But the tactics are much like rugby, actually. You get the ball over the line. There are 4 men on each team of differing physical capabilities, which we will explore in due time. But the tournament in Tampa is the most international and competitive of the calendar year, and the intensity, if you've never seen it, is surprising. Now, quad rugby grew out of the quadriplegics' inability to play wheelchair basketball on par with the paraplegics, who have, as we can see, far more upper body, arm, and hand control. There's just no way the quads could shoot like the paraplegics. Very few spinal cord injuries occur at the lumbar region because of the protection of the hips. Most paraplegics have been injured in the thoracic region where the back bends most. But it's an injury to the neck area which will affect all 4 limbs, hence the name quadriplegic. Here we see a low-level quadriplegic passing off to a high-level quadriplegic. In the sport of quad rugby, you have 4 players on any given team on the floor. However, they are differently able, from a .5 designation all the way up to a 3-point designation. .5 having the lowest ability, 3-point the highest. But the total number of classification points on the floor at any one time cannot exceed 8. One of the defining rules of quad rugby. Some are the others. You have to dribble every 10 seconds, no more than 3 defenders in the key at any one time, 15 seconds to cross midcourt, and at least 2 wheels across the line to score. After that, get your pads on tight because anything goes. Generally, the way the game develops, the higher classification athletes, the 2.5s and the 3s, handle the ball and score, while the lower classifications block out and create picks. So the team aspect and the combination of players of varying abilities is the key strategic element of the sport.
21, 2-1, ball.
One man who has seen the entire evolution of quad rugby is 41-year-old Steve Kalashewski of San Diego. We spoke with Steve during one of his team's matches. Talk about the type of players you got involved. I see one of these men on the Dutch team who obviously is very fast and very mobile. Just seems to be a really solid player.
Very good player. About their whole team, he's the one who's developed the most. I think it's a lot like a lot of the other sports. You got some guys who do it a little bit more recreationally. Some guys work at it 2 or 3 days a week. Then you have that guy who's 7 days a week out there pounding the weights, working, doing the cross training to make themselves the better athlete. I work with we have a recreational team. We have 2 teams out of Sharp Rehabilitation Center. And our recreational team, those guys think they can come out twice a week, 2 hours a week at practice and compete at this national level, and that's not going to happen. And when this sport first started, that's the way everybody was. Come out a couple hours a week, learn how to play the game, but it's not just the strategy within the team, it's the conditioning. And I think that's what you're seeing in that player that you just mentioned.
A team sport.
Very much so. And our very, very first team sport ever in the history since people have been getting paralyzed. First team sport ever for quadriplegics. My parents still don't have a grip on this. They come out and they watch it and they say, boy, that's nice or that's cute. I tell Mom, you think it's cute, spend 6 days a week training like this to go out there and get knocked around like that? That's not cute. I said, go tell Mike Tyson it's cute when he wins a fight, or go out there and tell one of the guys in the trenches for one of the football teams that it's cute when they lay a guy out on his back in a block. There's nothing cute about it.
From its inception in Canada, quad rugby moved quickly to the United States, and in recent years, the growth has become international. 4 foreign teams arrived for the tournament in Tampa, though the Americans remain dominant, much the way American basketball still is the state of the art in that sport. We spoke with Dutch player Peter de Vries.
And what have you learned through coming to tournaments like this one in Tampa, and what have you taken back home?
Yeah. Especially that the tactics we have to use for defense and offense, because the first time we came here we didn't even know what a ball looked like, and now we know how to play the game, but now it's we have to increase our speed and our tactics, and we just have to how do you call it, listen more to each other and work for each other. We're a bit too selfish on the court, and that's what we have to learn here.
As in all sports, some teams have farther to go than others. The 15th seed in the tournament, the South Florida Gold Coasters. There, John Bishop explained the sometimes rocky learning curve of the sport.
This is no sport for the weak of heart.
No, absolutely not. There's a lot of tumbles, a lot of spills, cuts and bruises. Generally, you don't end up with any broken bones, but scrapes, cuts, bruises, sores, bloody noses, pokes in the eye.
It's a real gentleman's sport then, isn't it, John?
Used to be called murder ball originally. They decided that was a little bit too rough, so they renamed it quad rugby.
All right, John, thanks so much. We'll be back with more on the ITT Hartford Breakaway right after this timeout. Stay with us.
Go back to ITT Hartford's Breakaway. Now that we have a general understanding of quad rugby, let's put it into a game situation. As we pit the number 6 seed San Diego Sharp Shadows against 11 seed Boston Pit Bulls. Steve Kalashevsky explains why the measurement of chairs.
Because of the contact, everybody's chair, regardless of what type of chair, no matter what, the furthermost protruding point has to be 11 centimeters high. That's what they were measuring. If one guy had 2 centimeters, one had 14, he'd take his shins out, you know? So that's what that was all about. Cool.
Any questions, problems with any of the rules? No. Good luck. Let's get going. We're going to start in about 2.5 minutes. Right. We're going to start going away from your bench.
All right, Russ. Thanks.
Good luck. You're finished towards your bench.
Okay.
Good luck, fellas.
Good game.
Use the sidelines, okay? So if you hit him inside the middle of the court and stay in down low, then he's got to come in this way. And that's where I want him. I want him heading to the corner. We'll use those sidelines against him, all right? Don't let him into the court over here, okay?
The coaches are not just cheerleaders. We just saw Frank Lynch of the Boston Pit Bulls. There's a lot of strategy involved due to the range of abilities of the players. One of the keys on defense is to have your lower classification players, those without the hand and wrist control, to take out the higher classification players on the opposing team. Or you want your high classification players to attack on defense and hope for turnovers and then quick scores on the other end. Generally speaking, 2 or 3 men do most of the ball handling and scoring, while other men block and set picks. Number 10 in the gray for San Diego, Troy McGirt, son of the coach of the team. He's one of their best players, although the best player on the San Diego team not even on the floor in the early stages of the game. Now, 3 wheelchairs like those seen in wheelchair tennis were tried but found to be too dangerous for this sport. Before the game, Boston's leading scorer, Gary Bogue, joined us for a technical session.
Gary's with us to show us the design and function of a specifically built quad rugby chair. Now, right next to us is your competition chair. What's the first thing we should know about this chair as opposed to a racing chair, as opposed to a regular get-around everyday chair?
Yeah, a few things about it. As you can tell, it has the camber in the wheels. The wheels are cambered out. You can see it better from the back. That's to give it more stability sideways so you don't tip over as easily. A couple other things. You can see how the push rims on it are in close to the wheels. It makes it easier so people can't grab onto you and hold your chair when you're trying to push out of a hold.
Well, of course, you're a 3.0. Is your chair any different as somebody who handles the ball a lot and does a lot of the scoring, as opposed to one of the 0.5s, 1s, 1.5s? Are those chairs different within the sport?
Just a little bit. They might have their front end might come out a little more so that they can pick easier. And mine's built more to get off a pick because I'm trying to get away and they're trying to hold me. So the front ends might be set up a little differently.
The cost of a competitive quad rugby chair can hit $1,700, and they are in a continual state of repair due to the hard play. The chair manufacturers, therefore, are constantly forwarding parts to the athletes to keep their chairs in game condition. After getting off to a characteristically slow start, the San Diego Sharp Shadows finally found their rhythm and began to assume control of the game. They also slotted number 2 Rick Draney into the lineup. He just scored there. He's a 2.5 classification with great skills, and also he's the U.S. Open quad tennis champion. Now, the classifications can be quite controversial because players are only adding up to a total of 8 on the floor at any one given time. So if you go from a 2.5 to a 3, you lose that half point. Maybe that guy can't play with the teammates he's been playing with all year long. Rick Draney's conditioning, along with the complementary skills of number 10 Troy McGurk, allowed San Diego to employ a swarming defense, which trapped Boston in its backcourt much of the second half. And they pulled away to a 9-point victory in the end.
Frank, assess the game. It was you kept it close a lot of the way, but it was a hump you just couldn't quite get over. You got it within 4 or 5, but you just couldn't get that. You couldn't stop them and then turn that into a 2-point advantage for you.
Yeah, that seems to be our history the last few games. They seem to wear us down. In the end, we make a few mistakes. And once you get behind on a team with a couple of players like they have, it's tough to catch up.
San Diego's victory helped them earn a 3rd-place finish in the 16-team tourney. Back after this. ITT Hartford's Breakaway.
Well, that's the end of the 3rd period of the game between the team from Great Britain and the Shadows of San Diego, and San Diego's up by 4, 25-21. Very closely contended match. You know, the sport of wheelchair athletics has finally put enough of a body of work together to create a sense of history and tradition. And it's the same for all sports. Right now, let's go out to Los Angeles.
Whether it's Evan Evans full out on the throttle of his Thunder truck or Paul Wiggins capturing his 2nd straight LA Marathon. If there's one lesson we've learned at the Holiday Invitational Quad Rugby Tournament, it's that limitations to a great degree are self-imposed. Because once you've leveled the playing field, then how well you do is largely dependent on your pride, sacrifice, and hard work. It's the same in every sport. For Bob Malinati, I'm Tony Revis. Thanks for joining us in Tampa. We'll see you next time on ITT Hartford's Breakaway. ITT Hartford's Breakaway was brought to you by ITT Hartford and by U.S. Air. U.S. Air begins with you.